Hi, my name's Nick, and this video is going to be on imposter syndrome. Now, just to start off, I am not giving you advice on how to manage or deal with any kind of mental illnesses, right? I'm not a licensed professional. You can probably tell just by looking at me. So, I am, well, the objective of this video is for me to give a little bit of advice and insight on a problem that a lot of creative people have, which is imposter syndrome. And while I'm talking about this problem, I also have a belief that it's not useful or constructive to talk about a problem when I don't mention any possible solution. So I'm going to be talking about why imposter syndrome happens and also how you can solve it to create a more fulfilling, artistic, creative process. So why does imposter syndrome happen? Okay, here's what I think. So it comes from a feeling of unworthiness. Now, to bring up a personal story for me, there have been times where I performed in front of people, like I'm a musician, I have a guitar back there and a keyboard back there, where I performed in front of people and they gave an applause and I felt like I was unworthy of that because the stuff that I made wasn't really good enough in my eyes. And this is something I've actually also, another example would be feeling like I cannot call myself a musician because I don't make stuff that is quote unquote good. But when I try to define good, the definition is something like, oh, well, don't suck. Or to make something good means it doesn't suck. It's not a good definition. So there's always going to be something there that I have to improve. That's just the nature of life, and that's what I realized. And why imposter syndrome happens is often unworthiness and unrealistic rules around what it means to have a certain identity. Okay, so for example, to be a musician, if your rules are to never make stuff that sucks, then you're not going to be a musician because the rule states that you need to make stuff that doesn't suck in order to be a musician, when somebody else's rule for being a musician can be something like just making stuff, even if you don't like it. How many musicians do you know have made stuff that they don't like? If you know any and you ask them, they're probably going to say, I made a ton of stuff I didn't like before I made something that I did. And what can you do to solve the problem of imposter syndrome? So here's what I did. And it's redefining the rules for something to happen. Okay, so if we have a certain identity, like if we identify as a musician, now, first of all, I don't believe identity is completely subjective, but I do think the rules around having that identity is, it can be down to interpretation sometimes. So I'm using musician as an example because, well, that's what my personal experience is. So a musician is somebody who plays music. Okay, so somebody who plays music. Okay. Musician is somebody who plays. So I guess another way of phrasing it that I think fits better is what needs to happen for me to feel worthy of the label, because that's all it is. It's a label. A music, like to call somebody a musician, to call somebody an entrepreneur, to call somebody an athlete, it's all a label. But what needs to happen for them to feel worthy of having that label? That's a way better way. That's a better way of describing it than, how I previously did. So I'm probably going to start saying it like that from now on. What needs to happen for you to feel worthy of the label as a musician? If it's to never make anything that sucks, you're going to be waiting a while. A really fucking long time. Probably your whole life. You might even go to your grave before you'd feel worthy, if you had that rule that needed to happen for you to feel worthy of that label. So It's basically it. So change the rule of what needs to happen for you to feel worthy of the label of a musician, right? Because if you want to be something, make the rules for you to feel worthy of that label easier. That's really all it is. So instead of not making anything that sucks, it can be as simple as making something. It can be as even making something that you don't like. That's basically the whole point of the video. So if you got something from this, like, subscribe to my channel because I'm going to be making more content like this weekly. So see you in the next one.